Hello everyone and welcome to another video on XrmTypeFast series. So in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to use actions using XrmClientService. In fact, how to execute actions using XrmClientService. Okay, so first, before proceeding to the code, I'm going to show an action that I have defined already. If it opens, yeah, the demo action. So this action actually has been defined on the account form, and in fact on the account entity, and there are multiple input parameters and two output parameters. You know that when defining actions, in fact defining input parameters or output parameters, we have a bunch of options, actually the type property that we can select from. And these properties that I have chosen, Boolean, date, time, decimal, entity reference, float, integer, money, pick list, these are the most common types that we would normally use. And there are in fact two other types, entity and entity collection. I haven't found any use for them so far. Maybe it's the lack of my knowledge, but they also can be actually included within this action, but normally I prefer to go with these values. So for this demonstration I have used these actions as input parameters. Okay, and for the output parameters I have chosen flag and message as two, and this is actually the two output parameters that I actually, with my own style, I more than maybe 90 or 95% of cases I define my actions in this kind of style. And the reason is that the whole idea of using an action is that we provide some input parameters so that something actually on the server side happens, and if things go well, then we're gonna define a flag and set that to true with a message indicating that everything has been done successfully, and otherwise we're gonna actually return the flag to false and return the error. Okay, and this is actually the kind of practice that I mostly use, and so this is my style. You can go with your own. Okay, and also I have well, I should deactivate the action since I haven't assigned this to output parameters. Within the update, in fact the update, this step is a single step that I have used in order to simplify the whole presentation and demo stuff, but you can go with more complex business logic here, like for example add some custom code and deal with your custom code, and while you add some ifs and else's and those kind of stuffs. But for the sake of simplicity, I just have added a simple update, and indeed I'm going to open the properties. I click the set properties, and this actually window now pops out, and you see that those input parameters are used in order to actually update some of the fields: account number, number of employees, end date, annual revenue, and the latitude, and the average monthly revenue, primary contact, and also the credit on hold. I think I forgot to add the string, the string parameter to here. Yeah, go with that. And for the pick list, I think you know, pick lists, and with the pick list I mean this, with the parameter pick list, okay. And for the pick list, actually behind the scene it is not an option set, okay. We will see that in a bit. And even you know, you cannot assign a pick list to this field, which is really of type option set. You see, if I click on it, out of the arguments I don't have any suggestions, okay. But I can assign that pick list to maybe this string. Actually behind the scene, pick lists are behaved as integer values, okay. So you will see that an integer value will be returned to this field. So I think all the input 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I think 9. And here I have defined 9 input parameters in my list. Oh my god, it's taking quite some time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 input parameters and 2 output parameters. Okay, so for the output parameters I'm going to assign the values. It's a little bit slow, as you normally expect. Actually I defined this action beforehand in order to save some time, but I forgot to set these sign values, and so I'm actually doing it within the video. Sorry for that. Okay, the flag, and the flag now is going to be set by the input parameter, the flag input parameter. I'm sorry, oh, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Let me, well, actually the flag is an output parameter, so the flag is always going to be true. And the message is going to be success. Okay. So if the update be done successfully, then the flag is going to be set to true and the message is going to be success. Okay. This is a very simple implementation. And now I activate it. So demo action. So now that the action is defined, I'm going to grab your attention to one address, actually the API /data/version /$ metadata, and this actually can be found on the developer resources within, I think, the customization tab. And at the end you're going to add this $, metadata, and this page, in fact this XML file that is going to return on your browser shows all the in fact metadata of entities entity types, it's in fact a very lengthy XML file. The entity types, actions, functions, entity sets, and so on and so forth. So as you see, I'm going to search for my action in order to see how it is defined. You see that yeah, the action with the name AHNA_demo action, which is the name of the action that I just have defined in here, AHNA_demo action. It is bound, which is bound is true, which means it's bound to an entity, which was the account entity. As you see, and well, it has got a couple of parameters. Boolean, which is EDM, which is of type EDM.boolean, and here the type is in fact this this type in here. Okay, so we have that for the datetime offset, for the decimal, for the entity reference. While it's when this kind of thing appear, mscrm.contact, means that it's referencing the contact entity. Floats, edm.double, integer edm.int32. Money is decimal, just like that other decimal. Okay, and pick list is int32, just like the integer. Okay, so I told you that pick list is behaved just like integers, and money as well is behaved just like decimals. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to proceed. Also, I should show you that yeah, the string is a edm.string, and indeed the return type of the action, which is in fact the output parameters, appears as a complex type. Its type is mscrm.na_demo action response. This is a complex type, and this complex type now appears on the type on the top, and you see that within this complex type there are two parameters, that properties that are added: the flag and the message, which the flag is of type edm.boolean and the message is of type edm.string. So I think you have a good understanding on what actually behind the scene happens for these types that we define. Okay, so from here you keep in mind that money is behaved as decimal and pick list is behaved as integers. Okay, so now with that in mind, I'm going to go to Visual Studio project and extract the type of the action in order to consume it within Visual Studio Code. So I run the console application. I wish it be fast. Okay, please. So this time it's again asking for a connecting to an organization. Last time we have done that, so it has kept that information, and these information actually are retrieved from the app config file, the app config. Okay, so the index is 0. So it's taking some time in order to connect to actually this dollar metadata and read stuffs from here. Okay, it's asking for whether we're gonna create entities. No, not this time, but with actions, yes. And it's actually asking for the name of the action, which was AHNA. Well, it appears. So press the tab, enter, done, press escape. The type is now being created successfully. Exit, done, and again I'm going to show all the hidden folders. And now this time you see that within the actions folder that just has been created, we should actually see the name of the action that we just have created. Okay, so this is the file. Indeed, Visual Studio is gonna nag about, you know, the GUID, which it doesn't know what. It's a TypeScript file, right? It's a .ts file, so it doesn't know anything about the GUID or entity reference. So keep in mind that you should not keep these files and folders included within your project, because as soon as you do that, then it's gonna actually get on the way of debugging and, you know, compiling, and so your project is not gonna be built and cannot be run. Okay, so do not include them. So just go and open the folder containing the file, copy it, and go to the VS Code here. We have the source directory, and within this directory I'm going to add another directory, actions. Cool. And I'm going to reveal that in a file explorer. I'm going to paste that file in here. Cool. And well, yeah, this is the file. That one we must get rid of. So this is actually the file that we just have created. This is in fact the TypeScript file. It's nagging, it's complaining. Why? Because it needs to import the entity, also import the entity reference, and also, oh, okay, beautiful. So we have it attached. Okay, so as you see, Boolean is behaved as a Boolean, datetime as I think I have defined it not the right way in my action. Datetime, wow, it is defined as datetime in here, but I'm behaving that as a string. Maybe there must be a reason for that. Okay, decimal number, entity reference. Actually, maybe we should have gone with the value of date, but oh, I remember. The reason actually is that well, we passed the value of date as a string. Okay, so let me give you a hint on that. Let me open the DevTools. So this is, for example, the date. Okay, Iran, Tehran time, because now I live in Iran. And so when we are going to pass the value of dates to the server, actually we are not gonna pass the date value. Okay, in the we should in fact go with the let's say the .iso format. Okay, ISO string. Okay, so we're gonna pass the value as a string. So this is actually the value that we should, whether it is JavaScript or whether it is TypeScript, it doesn't make any difference. So this is actually the reason that I have defined that to be of type string. So now we have the, for a decimal number, for entity reference, entity or entity reference, the entity actually is going to support the when we choose actually type to be of type entity, then that one is supported this way. And float is again number, integer number, money is number. Wow, maybe you would expect the money type in here, but now you see the number. Why? The reason is that I just have told you there actually for actions, the API service, the API auditor service of CRM defines the type of money fields, which here in fact is this field, as a decimal value. Okay, so we're gonna provide a number type. Okay, in JavaScript we don't have decimal, we have number. And in case of the pick list, again, it was it was of type edm.int32, so it is number again, so we're gonna pass that as a number, and a string is a string. Okay, so now you have a good understanding of all these types. So everything is I think is ready. So this is the account form, and now it's time actually to use the type. So I'm going to call it action, and it is of ahna underline yeah. Beautiful. So now if I put a dot right in front of the action, I see four properties: action name, base entity ID, base entity name, and input parameters. Action name is in fact the name of the action, which in fact is the AH underline, and this is in fact a read-only property. So if I'm going to assign a value to it, it's gonna nag at me because it's going to say that cannot assign to action name because it is a read-only property. Well, in fact, the reason for creating this property is for the internal use of the XrmClientService. XrmClientService needs this property, so we don't need that in here. Okay. So in case of the base entity ID and base entity name, again, the base entity name is read-only. Why? Because it has been already defined that our action here, if you go on the top, is of type account. Okay, so if I'm going to provide a value for it, again, it's going to nag at me and say that is a read-only property. Okay, so forget about this one as well. And by the way, if I go to the definition, I see that these values, yeah, you see read-only action name, ahna underline demo, and account. Okay, and so these are two both read-only value properties, so we're going to set any values for them. But in case of the two others, the input parameters and the base entity GUID or ID, we're going to provide some values for them. So I go with the ID, and yeah, you're expecting a GUID to be provided for it, so I go with the I think I go with one of my account records, Contoso maybe. This error is because there was previously a script that I disabled, and it doesn't make any difference. Action dot now the input parameters. Dot input parameters, and it's a very complex object. Okay, now you see that it is telling us, okay, provide for me the parameter boolean which has a type of boolean, date time as a string, decimal number, and so on and so forth. So I go with the first one, parameter boolean, and for example I'm going to set it to true. Parameter date time, so I'm going to again if I provide a value of date, you see it is gonna nag at me. And this is the beauty of, in fact, the TypeScript language, that if you provide a wrong value for a type, then actually it's the compiler is gonna nag at you. Okay, and so it's not gonna let you to build it and proceed and to deploy that to your environment. Okay, so I am going to in fact provide a value is ISO string, parameter the decimal. I go with 12.12, parameter entity reference, new entity reference, and what was the type of the entity? We should go to the definition of the oh, don't tell me I'm supposed to. I think it was a contact, so we go with the contact. If any problem we face, then we're gonna return back and correct it. Okay, so I should provide a value of a contact. So I go to the again, I duplicate. Okay, and parameter dot float. Parameter dot integer 1. Parameter money. Again, I cannot define the value of money. It's now gonna negate me. Why? Because monies behave just like decimals, so I'm going to provide a decimal value for it. Let's go with 10,000. Okay, and we have the pick list. Pick list is again, you know, it is integer. Parameter a string, and a string would be demo action execution demo string, blah blah blah. And is there any value that we have missed? Well, their number must be 9. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay, so this action is now prepared. In fact, let results be await, and XrmClientService dot execute, and okay, so it is now time to build it. Sorry for all of this waiting stuff. You know that CRM sometimes is very slow, and it is not my fault. Okay, I go with the maybe we faced a problem with that entity reference, which we set that to contact. I think it was contact. Okay, publish. And now I open the DevTools. Okay, now refreshing it and seeing the results. Oh, it is very slow. My organization is not responding fast, in fact, and you're waiting and waiting and waiting. Oops, is there any problem? Oh, there's an error. So it's telling us, I think the problem is from the entity reference. So I go back to my demo action process. Sometimes I pause. Okay. Yeah, the entity reference is in fact referencing a contact, and it was quite right. So I'm going to reactivate it. So everything sounds to be right. Oh, I'm sorry that the problem is somewhere else. Actually, our action is about to work properly, but the problem is that, well, is that I have opened a wrong form, so I should go with this form. Now it's gonna run. Okay, beautiful. So it was one of those completely unexpected things. Okay, beautiful. True success. Well done. And let's see what happened on our record. Let's refresh it so that actually those updating values appear on the form. Maybe you got the point where actually the problem was. In fact, I chose the wrong form. Okay, so on the other form, the previous form, in fact, this script was not running. There was another script that another method was actually supposed to run, and since I disabled some things for that, so it was not working properly, and the problem was related to that script. You see now, number of employees 1, 12, yes. Primary contact is me, $10,000. I unfortunately cannot see other fields on this form, so I have to return back to the other form. This form was actually has a limited number of the fields. So primary contact, you see the date time, which I set to today, $10,000, 1313, that one. This is the SIC code. If you remember, I actually set this value with the value of the option set here. You see it is set to the pick list, in fact, 1. Okay, and there is another one, account number, which actually is this other one. Okay, so you see that everything is working as expected, and this is actually how you are supposed to use the action types. That first you go to actually Visual Studio, and by running and starting the project, you can create your actions, in fact action types, and then copy paste them within your Visual Studio. Within this folder, you add them one by one, and then you consume them and you see that consuming the actions is quite easy. It doesn't require any copy pasting stuff from anywhere. It's very, very handy, and you just are going to call that class and provide a GUID for the base entity ID, and provide the values for your input, in fact parameter values for your input parameters, and Xrm client service, and execute. Bam, it's done. It's gonna work properly. So this video has got so lengthy. I'm so sorry for that. Sometimes CRM doesn't respond fast, and it really takes my time, your time. And it is completely, I think, expectable for all the developers of Dynamics CRM. And so thank you so much for staying with me, and see you soon.